Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to teach you about how to evaluate security risk, what is threat, what is vulnerabilities, and how what is risk and how we calculate a risk based on threat and vulnerability. So talking about evaluating security risk, that is a very important aspect of any cybersecurity program or any organization. If you will not do the risk assessment, there are chances that your company may be compromised quite quickly compared to the other organization who do the regular risk assessment and are able to mitigate the risk as well. So if you consider this in layman language, if you already know what risk we have, it would be easy for us to remediate that risk and then ensure that no one would be able to compromise our environment. For example, you are at home and you know that there is a window and the glass on the window is broken. So anyone can come into your home using that window, correct? So that is a risk for you. So now that window is broken, that is a vulnerability to your home. Threat could be anyone outsider, any thief or anyone who want to break into your house and steal some valuable item. Now, if you already know this risk, it would be easy for you to mitigate a situation where a thief or anyone can enter into your house using that broken window and steal valuable item. And that is why in cybersecurity also it's very important to know the risks that are there in your organization. And that is why I have mentioned that you know you need to see all the factor in your organization. So for example, in my home there is a broken window, so I need to fix that. That is a risk for me. But in my neighbor house there is no broken window, so they don't have to pay attention to a broken window, but they have some other kind of issue like their door lock is not working or sometimes they are unable to lock their door. So that is a different type of risk, but they also have risk. So every company have different set of risk, and to understand them and to evaluate them, security analysts should have complete visibility of their organization. So that is very important aspect. Second thing, this risk assessment helps analysts to understand the threat that their organization may face in future. And then if you know the threat, you can design or implement appropriate set of controls to mitigate that. As I mentioned in my previous example, let's see your Windows glass is broken. You know that is a risk. So security control would be implementing a new glass or new set of glass in the window so that no one could enter, correct? Or if you that window is no longer required, you can construct a wall over there so that no one would be able to enter. So there could be multiple things that you can do to mitigate the risk, but for that, firstly you need to understand what is the risk in your organization or in your company. There are three important terms whenever we are doing any risk assessment, that is vulnerabilities, threats, and risk. We are going to talk about each segment in upcoming slides. So let's move to the vulnerability slide, guys. What is vulnerability? A vulnerability is a weakness in a device or system, application, or process that might allow an attacker to take place or take advantage of the same and compromise your system. Correct? Vulnerability are internal factor and that may be controlled by cybersecurity professional. So all the vulnerabilities are internal to a company, and cybersecurity analysts who are working for that company can easily mitigate that problem. They have full visibility on that. So it's not like something external that they are not aware of. Like in the previous example, there is a broken window glass. that is part of a house and you can always mitigate that or replace that glass. But who will enter from the outside, that is not in your control. So vulnerabilities are always known to the cybersecurity professional and can be mitigated by them. So if I give you example of cybersecurity domain, let's see there is a vulnerability on a server, and using that Apache service vulnerability, an attacker can initiate DOS attack on your server, which will make that server unavailable and it will impact your organization day-to-day activity. Okay. Cybersecurity professionals within the organization have the ability to remediate that vulnerability by upgrading the Apache server to the most recent version or that version which is not exploitable by DOS attack. So this is how we mitigate the vulnerability and what is vulnerability. Moving to the threat, a threat in the world of cybersecurity is an outside force that may exploit a vulnerability. For example, a hacker who would like to conduct a DOS attack against a website and knows about an Apache vulnerability poses a clear cybersecurity threat. Although many threats are malicious in nature, but this is not necessarily in all the cases. For example, an earthquake may also disrupt the availability of a website by damaging the data center containing the web servers. Earthquakes clearly do not have any malicious intent, but that is also a threat. So in most of the cases, cybersecurity professional cannot do much to eliminate a threat. Hacker will try to hack, earthquake will strike, whether we like it or not. But we need to be prepared. We need to understand our company's risk and vulnerability and how we can mitigate or how we can put additional security controls to mitigate those vulnerabilities and risk. So if I tell you in layman language, the broken window was the vulnerability, and threat could be anyone, a thief, a neighbor, anyone who want to steal some important data, and we do not have any control over them. We only have control on that window that is broken, but we do not have any control who can get into our apartment or building. Correct? So moving to the next slide, what is risk? A risk is combination of a threat and corresponding vulnerabilities. Both of these factors must be present before a situation poses a risk to security of an organization. What is the meaning of this? Risk is equal to threat and vulnerability. Okay. So if we have already mitigated the vulnerability, even though there is a threat, like hacker will try to attack on the web server, but since this vulnerability is already mitigated or remediated, they would not be able to compromise the server or they would not be able to impact our services. So risk will be quite lower or risk would not be there because we have already eliminated the vulnerability part. So if I'll give you an example, for example, if hacker target on an organization's web server with DOS attack, but server is already patched, which means vulnerabilities has already been mitigated. So there is no risk because even though threat is present, there is no vulnerability. Similarly, a data center may be vulnerable to earthquake because the wall are not built to withstand the extreme movement present during an earthquake, but it may be located in a region of the world where earthquake do not occur. So that is also not a risk because our data center is there in a location where we have not seen any earthquake in past few years. The data center may be vulnerable, but earthquake is not coming in that location, so that is not a risk. So the relationship between risk, threat, and vulnerability is important one, and it's often represented by this equation that I have already explained you. Risk is equal to threat and vulnerabilities. So if I tell you in layman language, as I mentioned, if window is broken, that is a vulnerability. Anyone can get into your apartment. Any third party person or uninvited person, a thief, a neighbor, anyone who want to steal something from your house would be a threat. And combination of these things become a risk to your home. So if you fix, you do not have any control over the thief, whether they will come at night or they will come in the morning, but you do have control on the broken window. You can fix that. You do have control on your door lock. If that is not working, you can always fix that. And by that, you will be stopping an attacker or an outsider threat to coming into your home and jeopardizing everything. So guys, this is all for today. I hope this video have been informative for you, and I would like to thank you for viewing this. Just one last message that cybersecurity people say that cybersecurity is very complex and very difficult to understand, but based on my experience, it is very easy to understand, and all the cybersecurity concepts are relatable in your day-to-day activity. So you just need to put your brain into it and try to utilize or try to connect these concepts in your day-to-day activity, and it would be very easy for you to understand. And once your basics are clear, you will be it will be easy for you to understand these technical terms: hacker, pest, uh, risk, threat, vulnerabilities, and their mitigation technique. Because if you make cybersecurity a part of your day-to-day activity or day-to-day life, you will be easily able to connect with things and understand these basics. And once basics are clear, it would not be difficult for you to understand the advanced version. Okay, so thank you so much, guys. If you like this video, please like it on YouTube, subscribe to my channel, share this video to your friends and family members who want to learn cybersecurity. And if you have any suggestions, please comment on this video so that I can incorporate them in my upcoming videos. And if you have any question related to cybersecurity, do comment. I'll try to respond on your questions. Thanks, guys. Thanks for your time.